Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Perfect.
So guys, if you first off, thank you for being there. I'm very happy to welcome all of you guys tonight. As usual, no plan, just a discussion, a friendly discussion with Mark. He has been using Naas for some time, and he has a topic on LinkedIn which is quite interesting. As usual, Mark, can you say to us who are you in a few minutes, and how do you describe yourself in like a 1-2 minute pitch, so we can know who you are and where you come from?
Definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This has been so fun, just using the Naas notebooks and also just being able to chat with a group of people about data is one of my favorite things to do. My name is Mark Freeman. I'm a data scientist at a startup in Silicon Valley called Humu, where we essentially drive behavior change within companies through sending little mini interventions called nudges. And it's been really cool because one of the data problems is like, how do you send the right information at the right time to the right person, right? And figure out all those data signals. In addition, we're a 100-person startup. So all the fascinating things of like trying to build a startup and build data infrastructure and data culture all collide at this unique intersection. And so my role as a data scientist, I'm more on the product side where I focus on three things. I build data products that go into production that actually see our end users. The other thing I do is I work with the VP of product to actually answer product questions. So they may have a certain question around like, hey, what's happening with this part of our product, with the engagement, whatnot. And then from that analysis, help the product team make decisions for future directions. And then finally, I do a lot of data infrastructure. So data warehousing, ELT pipelines, all those different things. And so for me, my passion as a data scientist is really stems from like that 0 to 1 phase of how do you take this really broad, maybe crazy idea and actually build an MVP to actually send out to customers and understand what's working, what's sticking. And I think that's a really unique skill set where you have to take this really ambiguous, put structure around it and actually build something. And so I think this is why I really align really well with Naas. Because it's a tool that allows me to focus exactly on that. And what's even more exciting is like a lot of my work, some of it I can share because it's in blogs, but like the nitty gritty of like the techniques, I can't actually share as much. So with this analysis I'm about to share today, it's like a sneak peek of like the type of work I do at Humu, but applying it to my own skill set.
That's incredible. So just in a nutshell, Humu, what's the story behind Humu? How did those guys came up with the project? Can you tell us about it? I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of interesting things behind it.
Definitely. So the founders are Laszlo Bock, who's the author of Work Rules, and is also leading people and culture at Google. We have Wayne as well, who's on the product side. Fun fact, he did like Y Combinator and created like Google Sheets, which is like wild to me. And then and then we have Jesse Wisdom, who's like super insanely smart PhD, like IO psychology, and really did a lot of the people analytics at Google. And so those individuals, they're doing these people analytics. I think they term people analytics, right? And they noticed a problem at opening in the market. And they decided to start their own thing, which was Humu. And it's been really exciting. So I started probably 3 years after they launched. But my manager was been with them since like almost day one, right? And so, and she's a data individual. So it's been really cool seeing that story launch of like saying like, hey, we can make work better. There's this science-backed way to drive people to actually have behavior change that not only make them happier, but also like improve business outcomes. So it's been really cool. It was pitched to me when I was doing it as like AI to make people happy. So I'm like, of course I'm gonna check that out.
Exactly. It's a very interesting idea. And we are definitely aligned with this vision at Naas, and it's definitely something we want to do. I always say that I've never intended to be into analytics or nothing like that. I wanted to do music basically, but I came out like doing finance, and by finance I was stuck in Excel and VBA, and I was sad. And then I came to Python and to notebooks, and then finally I was able to do stuff, to build stuff, to like really interact with the data and build amazing stuff. So I guess it's always about like how you can help people use technology to feel better at work, and to technology should liberate us of a lot of noise and things that we are not fine managing. So yeah, I'm totally like getting your point and getting the point of what you do at Umu. It's very, very cool to see that companies like this, backed by those super interesting minds at Google, like those guys are having so much experience and building this stuff. So I'm really excited about learning about, yeah.
We're not a Google company. They just happen to be from Google.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, by backed, I wanted to say like those guys were coming from Google. So it's also see that those minds have been like working in Google, which is like the tech company that everybody knows, and they are now having these nudges running. So quite interesting.
Yeah, I work with some of the smartest people, and I learned so much from them. It's been really great. I've been there for almost a year now. It's been probably one of the best jobs I've ever had.
Cool. It's very exciting what you're saying. Like, yeah, thank you. So entering a bit more about like what you do. So how did we all brought this conversation? Like we literally met through LinkedIn, you and me. I was reading your post. I was really inspired by your post. It reminded me a lot of stuff that I've learned when I was at Stanford doing this program, the LEAD program. You're also matching on that sense. So I'm just wanted to like come back on why did you started writing on LinkedIn, and what was your intention, and maybe going further into your habits. How did you build the habits to develop more posts, and how at which moment did you figure that, oh, I need data to understand that, and what did you do with the LinkedIn driver? Basically, let's go a bit more, on this thing.
Yeah, definitely. So there's like two phases to my LinkedIn journey. So the first phase was last year. I was actually laid off from my first data science job in the middle of the pandemic, and it was actually ended up being one of the best things ever to happen to me. And so I kind of did like something wild. I consulted with my wife. Because it impacts both of us. I said, I'm not going to apply to a single job. Instead, I'm just going to create LinkedIn content to drive engagement, to like build up leads. So I essentially built a sales funnel where I treated myself as a startup of one,
as a product,
trying to sell my services out into the market as an employee. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to create one LinkedIn post every single day that drives value for at least one person. And I actually called it the hashtag the layoff hustle, where I documented from the day I was laid off to the day I got my job and started my new job, every single step of the way of how I can make that happen. So I can show others like, hey, being laid off, yeah, that sucks. But like, here's how you can like navigate that. I didn't know it was gonna work, but I was just like gonna try something, right? And it surprisingly worked really well. People were really engaging with my content. People saw I was laid off and were sending me leads. Companies were noticing me because I put out my expertise of data science out into the world and my ability to communicate. And I had interviews from a lot of top tech companies, and one of them that came into my inbox was Humu. So that's how I kind of got started with LinkedIn. And I was like, wow, this is really powerful. I'm connecting with people all over the world. I'm connecting people who I'm passionate about data. So that was when I was like, all right, I'm gonna start posting consistently for that. And then probably about 8 months in, so after that whole thing, I've been posting about once or twice a week. I started seeing like, wow, I'm getting posts in like the hundreds of likes. There's some really solid engagement. And I had a really popular post where I put out a tutorial on how to set up your own Python environment on Mac. And it got so much engagement. I was like, wait, I think I'm onto something here. I want to take this more serious. And so now I post every single weekday. I try to set up content strategies, which we'll get into in the analysis. And more importantly, is like I'm starting to do more speaking events. I'm getting asked for more advice, and so like I'm trying to start my own brand and company essentially around myself to actually start monetizing off the stuff I already love doing for free. Because people are like, wait, what do you want in return? I had nothing to say. And so that was the driver for me. Like, all right, I'm a business. You know, my brand is a business. I need to be a data-driven business because that's my wheelhouse. And initially, I was just gonna pull and scrape my own LinkedIn data. And the moment I talked to Jeremy, he showed me the drivers, and I was like, wait, I can get the LinkedIn data in 2 lines of code. I don't have to spend hours and days trying to figure out this myself. I was just instantly excited. I was like, I'm gonna jump and build something today.
Very, very cool. And I was also amazed by all your posts because I've been following you for the beginning, and I think that your way of writing, basically the way that you put your personality into your writings, it's true, it's real. We can feel you, we can understand who you are, and that's very powerful because you see a lot of posts on the network, but when you have authenticity, it's changing everything. You are waiting for these new things to come and for this new information to be brought to you by your storytelling and the way you put your information all together. So yeah, it's a very great story you shared here, Mark, and congratulations for this road you have been starting, because it was very courageous of yours. You basically, like, this is so courageous, man. You just literally didn't apply to anything and you started building content from scratch. So what would you say to anybody that would want to start content? You say, like, forget about like anything, just do it. What is the advice you would say?
Definitely. I would say just start. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like just start. And the thing is, like, don't worry about like the likes or the comments or anything like that. There's a couple things. Just really focus on just having fun, because like that's the thing that's going to drive you forward when there's like no engagement. When you're just putting content out into the ether, right, and no one's engaging. I thought of it as like, this is just really fun. I'm practicing my communication skills. The other component is like really focusing on like not just creating content for content's sake, but like how can I drive value for at least one person? If I can just get one person to be like, wow, that really helped me figure something out. Oh, that's great. And so that's where my content's really focused on, like, what are my life lessons or lessons in my career, or like what are lessons mentors have shared with me, and packaging that up into a way that other people can see. So I live by a kind of a value of each one teach one, where if I know something, I want everyone around me to know it as well.
Exactly. I live by the same value. So we have comments of Alexi. Alexi is working at Red Hat, and he is saying that your story is excellent. Valentin also is very excited by your story. So yeah, I think it's all driving so much power that you have something here and you want to share. So don't like stop yourself. Just do it. Just start. Just do something, and everything's going to be fine. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the comments, the likes. What actually drives the value is maybe where we are going to go into is the views. So the actual reach of your post, and see how the reach is going or the comments are going, but after some time, not on the moment you start. You need to have this momentum, build momentum, post more frequently, and then you will be able to get something out.
Yeah, and I kind of tie. So you mentioned you did, I believe, leads at Stanford. I did the Ignite program at Stanford, where I studied entrepreneurship innovation, and the key thing was just like iterating this lean process and design thinking, where you just put something out there. And like my first content, I just knew it was gonna be not the best, right? Or anytime I do something for the first time, it's not gonna be the best. But I put something out there because if it's in my head, I'm not serving the market, right? If it's putting out there and I actually see people's eyes and giving them feedback or comments, that's more data points for me to better refine my message and like how I communicate.
Definitely.
And so, you know, you're just gaining data points every single time. It's every single post is a win.
Cool. So I think we need to go into the details now, man. You need to show us the data and check this out. Maybe you are going to share your screen a bit, and and try to explain. So basically what you're going to show us, and it's very exciting. So I'm really happy to record this video as well, because we will take the time to like push it on YouTube and check it out more like in more details, because you are sharing a bit of what you're doing at Humu, like a bit of the methodology of all this way of getting the data, structuring the data. You have made some posts already on LinkedIn, and people like, well, we're very excited about it. So like, let's dig into the details and try to figure out how you have managed to build your analysis from the data you are getting on LinkedIn. Is that okay? Let's share that.
So, yeah, I want to share my screen real quick. Awesome. And then I can't see the comments, so please interject if there's any questions. I definitely want this to be a conversation.
Yeah.
But essentially, you know, I have this framework I've kind of created to help me kind of conceptualize how I go about doing these projects, called the TRIBE framework, where T stands for talk, R stands for requirements, I stands for iterate, and then B, build, and E, evangelize. And so for me, this is an interesting use case where the talk phase, I'm the end user. And also I've talked to other content creators, and that's going to inform the questions I have. And so for me, I set my project summary where, you know, as a LinkedIn content creator, I have questions of like, what drives engagement? A lot of the content creators from my conversations are like, you know, what posts are actually getting people to actually go into my content, you know, engage with it, follow me, and even more if they have their own business, go onto their own page or paid service, right? So engagement's really top of mind. And more importantly is when I'm building this notebooks, again, each one teach one, I wanted to be able to teach other people how to do it themselves. And so
excellent.
And so
can you just repeat the letters? Yeah. Can you just repeat the letters? So is it
yeah, so I call it
the
TRIBE framework. TRIBE framework. T stands for talk. Okay. So I'm going to talk to my stakeholders, talk to stakeholders, potential customers, end users, try to gain information about like what's important. R stands for requirements. So like, now that I've talked to people, I'm going to frame and scope this and put some structure around a broad idea. The next step is iterate. I'm going to share this plan to other people and get feedback to see what works. Many times data is really abstract. So the requirements or the requests that you get are not really rooted in like the data. It's more so like this broad abstract thing. And once you show people, then they can actually have great feedback to move forward with. The next step is build. So you actually build what I'm doing. And then finally, evangelize. You built this awesome tool. You built this awesome product. You want people to understand its value and actually use it. So on LinkedIn, I've been sharing little tidbits of my analysis and kind of show the value of it. And so once I finally release this notebook more broadly, people will be really excited to check it out.
Cool. Understood. It's very clear now. So let's dig into it. So you have this notebook, you have created it. I see project summary, analysis plan, data acquisition. Let's check it out.
Definitely.
Can you guide us through it?
Yeah, 100%. So the key thing is that you know, the first start of a data project is actually getting the data. As I mentioned earlier, I was originally planning on like scraping my own LinkedIn data or even just like copying and pasting, which would take a really long time. But when I talked to Jeremy, he showed me these awesome Naas drivers. So let me see if I can open up this cell. And he has this awesome outline right here from the awesome notebook showing you how exactly I can get my LinkedIn data and all the results it provides for that. So going back. And so this is all the data that I got from there. And then finally, I do some data preparation. So, you know, there's some interesting things from this data, but I can work it a little bit more, do some feature engineering to get new values. And so one of them is, so we have views, likes, and direct comments. But the thing is, though, that requires like 3 different analyses. Maybe there's a way I could combine them all together. So I created this thing called an engagement score. Again, I don't know, it's not validated, but I'm trying new things. I'm just trying to explore, see what works. And so essentially I did number of likes times the number of direct comments divided by a number of views. So again, I'm trying to not normalize, but
okay. The framework I knew in my head was it's slightly different, but quite interesting also. It's like you get the views as the reach. So you figure out your reach, then you figure out your engagement by taking the likes, the comments, and integrating the views is quite smart as well, because in some point you want to have a ratio. So it's definitely a good point. And the conversation, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to manage the conversation. So originally, the Naas driver were made for us, for me, to understand that. Do my reach is going higher, post after post, or what are the different trends? What's my reach weekly? What's my reach monthly? And also getting to engagement through the comments and the likes to finally have the conversation. It's like a funnel. You talked about a funnel, man. So it's exactly that. For me, it's about reaching people, then engaging in those people, then transforming those people into actual conversation. And for me, as I'm telling, like, technology is for me to be able to talk to more people. So like I can save time to connect with more people. So it's all about that. At the end of the day, it's about what's all your conversation, what relationship did you build? And,
and then,
yeah, cool.
And the key thing for the reason I did the engagement score is I was thinking like, all right, if I had a post that had like 30,000 views and then another post that had like maybe 5,000 views, how do I compare those together? Like those are two different things. And so this is like kind of a proxy maybe. And then finally, there's a lot of text data. Text data is awesome. In my previous role, I've worked in healthcare data science, and we had electronic health records. And so the text data is really rich, but very complex to use. And so I use Spacey and NLP tools and a lot of regex. And I was able to get some really cool features. So like number of words, characters, emojis, hashtags, whether or not a link was present. And then in addition, for my hashtags, I did a theme campaign where every single day of the week, I had a specific theme, like Monday motivation or Tuesday tours or Friday finds. And so I actually was able to capture, was it part of that theme campaign based on those consistent hashtags I use.
Yeah, so it's keywords, it's thematics. It's like, topics.
Yep. And then finally, cool. And then with the NLP, I said a simple kind of bag of words approach where I tokenized the text and then I did TF IDF vectorization. And so the reason why I didn't do this count vectorization is because I'm trying to find unique words, unique trends. What's a word that maybe I didn't identify or use as much, but was really popular, right? And so this allows me to uncover that uniqueness. And I actually give a quick example, like the difference between count vectorized and TF IDF vectorizing, where you have the actual counts versus like a ratio score. I'm blanking on it. I post up here what essentially it is. It's the term frequency multiplied by the inverse documentation frequency. And so once I release this notebook, you can go check out what TF-IDF is. And so finally, we have the analysis. And I'll go through this pretty quickly so we can actually get to the numbers. But there is basically 7 key questions I wanted to answer with this analysis. First off is like, what are my overall summary statistics of my LinkedIn posts? My second one is, are there higher views correlated with higher with comment likes? Let me rephrase that. Are views correlated more with likes or are views more correlated with comments? The next one is, do links present in posts result in lower post views? So many times you see on LinkedIn, people say like link in the comments. And the reason people do that is because LinkedIn's algorithm does not like links for some reason. So I wanted to test that.
Yes, that's what I heard as well.
Yep. And then the big one is like, did my weekday theme campaign actually result in higher engagement? There's some mixed results for that. I'm really excited to share that. Finally, what are the drivers of engagement on posts? And then for the bag of words NLP for 6 and 7, I'm actually going to be asking, are there any specific hashtags that drive more engagement? Or are there any specific topics that maybe I should be talking more that drive engagement for my posts? And to do that, I essentially fit, okay.
Cool. Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. Yeah. And I essentially just do a random forest to get feature importance. And the key thing I want to note too is like, especially in this early exploration phase, is that, you don't need to do these complicated models or anything. You really want to focus on what are some simple and, easy ways to start off first, but using it in creative ways to actually get some answers, to actually spur further analysis to refine what you actually want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that
Yeah,
was good. So we'll start with the overall statistics, I guess.
definitely. So going
Cool.
to overall statistics, going down, 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 blah, 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 blah. Data preparation, that's like a big part of data. That's like what, 80% of your time.
Yes.
And so let's see. So here's my overall statistics. So I had 98 posts. And I chose median because many times it's funny in statistical classes you learn all about the normal distribution. Then you get into the real world and like almost nothing's a normal distribution, at least for the work I've
Yes.
done. And that was very similar to this. So I chose median
Exactly.
to not account for like really, popular posts to make sure everything wasn't skewed to a certain way. And so
All right.
overall, I'm actually pretty happy with this. Like overall, I get like 42 likes. I get 5 direct comments. And direct comments are more important to me because that's people most likely commenting on my posts, not me responding to other people's posts, which can potentially overinflate numbers.
Exactly. You need to like raffinate a bit those things. Okay, cool. Direct comments. Okay.
Yep. And views are over 3,000 people. And that's awesome to me. As someone who's just starting, that's really great for me personally. And then word count. Again, I think that's what's really interesting is like, do people want a wall of text? Do they want like quick paragraphs? And then hashtag count. So how many hashtags I have, I typically do around 11 for that. So those are quick summary statistics. But I think this is where things get interesting. And so I wanted to view trends over time. A challenge with LinkedIn is that you don't really have the post date for a post. You have like this proxy of like, this was 1 month ago, this is 2 weeks ago. And so a way around that is that the Naas driver provides a URN. And I looked at the URN and I was like, wait, this is a numerical order. So I can essentially use the numerical order of the URN, which is like the unique identifier, as a proxy for time. And so I bucket them for every 5 posts and then plotted it sequentially. And so this was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so now...
Wait, this is brilliant. Okay. So wait, there is this, so we can package, okay, we can package with the numbers because it's getting a unique number that is incremental on each one's post.
Yep. Definitely.
Oh, cool. This is a real insight, man. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's funny. In my analysis plan, I was planning on using date proxy, and then when I looked at it, I was like, wait, this is all categorical. This isn't going to work. And then I saw URN. I was like, wait, I can actually do this. This is really cool. So it's not exactly a time series, but it's relatively close. And again, I did for each bucket, I just did the median to get my values for it.
Okay.
And so this is when things just really popped for me. I was like, wait, my trend was going down. I started off really high, but then I see these peaks and valleys. But it kept on going down. And then something was happening around group 13, group 15 for this. I recently updated my data with the Naas driver. And so my analysis was on about 2 weeks ago. And I updated again last night. And so it's showing a little bit different numbers. But you can see something happened around here where like my content just plummeted. My engagement was just not where it used to be. And so instantly I was like, what happened? That was just the coolest thing ever to me that I wasn't aware of. Like if I had this data going on earlier, maybe I could have caught something and made this shift back up, go back, move forward again, move up again. I'm gonna pause real quick. Any questions before I go on to the next step?
I guess I have one. And so did you actually think that this drop was correlated to one specific kind of posts? Like is those groups literally different kind of posts, as you said before, like they are matching a certain pattern?
Yeah. So around this time, remember when I said I was like, hey, I'm finally gonna get serious. I'm gonna start posting every single day. And I created a theme campaign where Monday, Tuesday, I had these different themes. This was around the time that I did that, which was just kind of wild to me. And I had my suspicions, but I wanted to check it out more. And so I actually looked it up. So like what's in these groups? And so this was group 10. Group 10 was probably one of the highest. It looks like 9. Let's actually see. We can try to do this live. Let's see if this will work live. Hopefully, fingers crossed it does.
We have a question from Alisa. Could the decrease in engagement also be correlated to the time of the year? So maybe it was end of year or summer and people aren't on LinkedIn as much as what is currently happening now. There is less people on networks because people are taking holidays. Here in France, everybody's on holiday right now. So there's less engagement in anything we do. And I can see it on my side as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that could definitely be a thing. And that's why I want to know, like, this is exploratory and I'm not trying to show causation. There's trends. And this is the early stage of my data. But the cool thing about Naas drivers is like, after I do this exploration, I plan to productize it. So that way I can collect and do this analysis every single week automatically and have it scheduled. And so that way over time, over a course of a year, 2 years, I plan on doing this for a while, I can see these trends over time.
I guess it's going to be, we need more data and probably more people also doing your kind of analysis. And if we have this whole bucket of people doing it, man, we can really discover key insights on how to really drive engagement to social networks. And I have the feeling we already have it, but it's always like this in data science project. You start with a hypothesis. The hypothesis might be, you just need to be you. and then you can confirm this thing by more data to just make sure that you can focus on just being yourself and giving the most of your own way of writing, of your own personality. I don't think there is any other way than reassuring yourself with the data that you are going in the right direction.
Definitely. And so let me just share a post. So this is like some of my top posts. Let's see if I can find a good one. So this one had, this is actually funny. This goes back into like testing things out and showing with your products. I'm going to click on this link. This is one of my top posts from like one of my peaks. Come on, LinkedIn. Let's go. Oh, there we go. And so actually, here's the post where I said, hey, I'm looking for feedback as I try to up my LinkedIn content game. Here's the actual hashtags I plan on using moving forward. And so I got such great response. People are like, yeah, this is awesome. Totally do this. Let's make this happen, right? So again, you show people, you get feedback, and then you put out your product and actually it doesn't work out well. And so let's go into the comments. I actually posted out my comments that actually did not do well. So this is, let's see.
That's crazy.
So this is Thursday Thoughts. So I'll put out Thursday Thoughts right here. And again, my average likes is around 40, right? So you see this, I spent all this time creating this content and like no one's engaging. But people said they wanted this, right? But I put it out there, it just wasn't working for that. And so now let's actually dive in. And so this is again correlation plot. This is one of my favorite plots because it looks really cool. But
I like it. But it's very hard to read.
Exactly. From looking at this, and this is more so internal. I wouldn't present this externally to people. This is more so for myself to like guide my analysis. And just a quick summary, nothing too interesting is happening here. So I'm gonna move on from that. And so the next question is like, do link posts present low results? And so one of my favorite tools is called Table One. I come from healthcare, and healthcare research, we have a thing, the first table is called Table One, where you provide these summary statistics. So again, cool. I actually don't have that many link posts because again, I always do that link in the comments strategy, but you can see from this small sample, there is a huge difference between engagement for things. So like the likes go down, but more important, the views in the 3,000, but this is in the 800s. with links.
So wait,
And so,
those two
yeah,
groups, Mark, they are false and true here. So you have overall true, false. Say again, what's the different columns? How do you
definitely,
come with false and true?
definitely. So basically, I use regex and I put on all the different kind of markers of a link. So like https.com, all those things that are in a post, I use regex to extract that and basically said,
Okay.
if that's present, true. If not, false. Hence link bool.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
definitely. And this is a rough draft. I still need to refine the documentation before I present it out more broadly. But I'll definitely make that way more clear. But I was just definitely trying to get the analysis done for our talk today, so we have some interesting talking points. But I think something that's more interesting is I ran essentially like a t-test. I said t-test first, but the thing is though, like I don't have it's a small sample size. It's a non-normal distribution, so I said I did the Whitney U test. And again, small sample size. This is just exploratory. You know, this is more so like, hey, something interesting is happening. Research more. And the one that was able to reject the null hypothesis, that the views between links and no links are actually different for that. So
Oh,
again,
okay.
just a signal to research more into this.
So definitely not the cool stuff to get the links inside your post.
Again, I would caution for saying causality just yet. We need more
Yes,
data,
yes,
but
yes.
there's something potentially happening here that I would love to explore more.
And it tells us about the algorithm also of LinkedIn.
Exactly.
How does he like or not like the
Yep.
posts to get likes, basically?
Yep. And
All
so
right,
now
all right, all right.
here's the interesting thing is like, did my theme campaign actually work? And something really surprising happened for this. I was expecting the theme campaign to actually not work, but so I same thing, did table one. I have no theme and theme. And the crazy thing is my likes are more, my comments are the same, but my views are drastically different.
Okay.
And that was like, what just happened? And so I actually put this out on LinkedIn. So again, that iterate component, getting feedback from people. I put that on LinkedIn, a post saying like, hey, here are my results. What do you think? And people are like, hey, did you recently turn on creator mode? Because I've been hearing from others that when I turn creator mode, my
Yeah.
engagement tanked.
Yes, and we have seen that recently in the last comment when we are promoting this show and this discussion. People ask you this question as well. I was like, how did they come up with the idea? So other content creators have seen this?
Yeah, and I think potentially is there. And so I didn't. So this is what we call the unobserved covariate. You know, I don't have this
Yes.
measured, and so I need to figure out a way to actually measure that. I can potentially reach out to LinkedIn and ask, hey, you know, I want my data back. What day did I turn on creator mode? And then from there, I can see what that date was for the URNs and try to divide that. And then from there, I can probably do some statistical analysis. But I discovered this last night. And I was just like floored. I was like, wait, so maybe it did work, but maybe it's the creator mode. So again, it's
Yes.
the classic data science problem. Like we need more data, but through this exploratory analysis, I have more refined research questions to actually zone in what I actually want to answer.
You can actually be more focused on certain kind of things. And before you were having no data. So it's better to have data and start like refining the information you can get from it and what does it say literally.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
this is summary statistics, but let's go look what does the distributions look like. And I normalized it not because I'm not interested in the actual numbers. I'm interested in the distribution if they're different. So that's why I normalized between 0 and 1. But you can kind of see something's happening here. They look the same. So like let's run the Whitney U test again. And again, views, I was able to reject the null hypothesis. Theme views and no views, they have different medians for their views. So something was happening where my views are definitely different between my theme and no theme. And so I should now explore that further to see like, all right, there is a treatment effect, right? What size and what direction is it going? That could be a future test. But something did happen,
Okay.
which is interesting. So it's not the same. So that gives me a data point to say like, hey, let's explore this more.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Okay. Can you
Yeah.
just
And
come
then
up again on this and maybe on the graph you were showing before? I had the question. So distribution,
yeah,
we are always looking at likes, comments, views, and engagement score, but distribution is all right. Okay, I get it. I get it. So you had
awesome.
no team is actually better, and okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, you really deep dive into this problem you see. I like it.
Yeah. And I want to note the key thing too is that I first noted this in my analysis plan. And my analysis plan is guiding my research to time box and make sure I don't stray too far and go down too many rabbit holes. And from that, I'm like, all right, cool, report the results. And then the next experiment, I'll do that. And again, we're data scientists. We want to emphasize the science of that.
Nice, nice.
Um,
Okay, cool.
and then this is looking at the different the themes themselves. So Friday finds, Monday motivation, no theme, right? And then here you can kind of see like there are definitely some different different levels of engagement here. I don't think I got a chance to do the test yet for that, but for me, I'm like thinking to myself, all right, what's the orange one? The likes are higher. Oh, Wednesday work. I guess people really like Wednesday work. Tuesday tours is like a low performing one over here. And I actually just I did not like doing the Tuesday tours posts. It was so much work. It took me hours to create those posts, and I didn't enjoy it. And they got low engagement. And so it like confirmed for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that again.
That's a lot of fun to see that. Like it's so good to have, the data and your feeling. It's so funny, because you literally realize also the sentiment when you put yourself in, when you had to do this kind of post that finally doesn't drive so much engagement, and you're like, whoa, I shouldn't have been. Maybe there is some kind of energy that was not there, that didn't make this thing the right way, and I like it. You're
Yeah.
like also giving us more data while you speak, man. It's Mark. It's really cool because we can see
Awesome.
it, and
I'm really
you
happy to
can
hear that.
also giving more data, and it's like it doesn't say here that you didn't like to write those posts, but when you say that, plus you look at the data, you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so for me is like, all right, maybe the themes didn't work, but the next question is, all right, but did a specific theme work well and maybe another one didn't work so well? And so for me, this is
Exactly.
like for me, I'm like, actually, all right, I want to write more about my work, right? People tend to like motivation posts, so maybe I'll sprinkle that in a little bit. But like those high quality, like here's the industry that I don't have anything about, I'm learning together about. That just wasn't for me, and I'm gonna drop that, and I'm gonna be very happy to drop that because I just didn't enjoy it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then kind of going into now, like for here, I was saying like, all right, we have character count, word count, hashtag count, emoji counts. Very simple, again,
Oh,
exploratory. I just spent a simple random forest regressor. And the really cool thing about random forest is that, you don't need to worry about like whether it has a certain distribution. It's non-parametric kind of test. And I can just see like what's the feature importance, like how important is this feature for this outcome of the engagement score that I provided. And I think in the future, my analysis plan instead of using the engagement score, but now looking at my previous results, I think I want to repeat this and do only views because I think there's more variability in that, and I can actually
okay.
pick up some interesting signals. But from
So
this, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm just wondering. So the result we have here, so there 0.33, there 3.2. Okay, so here you can say that you have to actually have a certain amount of characters to get your post engagement. Like it needs to be of a certain length.
Yeah, it's saying that the feature importance is that there's character count is really important, or not really important, but in comparison to these other features, character count is more important. And so again, this doesn't tell
Oh,
me the direction or the treatment size of the size of the effect, right? It just says that something's happening, and so maybe I'll fit a regression later on, or some account for some type of model to better understand this relationship. Again,
because I've
exploratory to
heard
tell me
that.
which signals to look at.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. And what I've heard from another researcher here in Germany that was also trying to look at this is he was analyzing posts and thinking that actually emojis are a good driver of your post views. He figured out that you need to have a certain amount of emojis if you want to make sure that people can read it properly, because emojis help you like figure out a kind of sentiment line of whatever information you want to put there. You put like an exploding head, and then you put a tick and in green, and then everything, like the eye is going through that and say, okay, I understand the feeling with those kind of little images that are emojis. And I find it very interesting because, emojis, everybody is using it. So, you're like, is it the next level kind of communication? Do you need to really have so much emojis? Or, there is a lot of questions around emojis those days. All of the youngsters are like all speaking with all these different kind of emojis as well now. I'm quite fascinated with this emojis thing. I really believe that it could be an evolution of the language in some sort, which is probably not cool for anybody. Like for some people of older millennials that are like, they don't understand it. Like you should literally put words, but emojis can help also understanding it. It's part of the literacy of today's world. Like you have to put some kind of things like this to make your content stand out. So yeah, I was just wanted to share this as well, because it brought it to me that this feature you made are actually interesting. The part of hashtag, the part of word, it do make sense.
And surprisingly, emoji count
would definitely
was the
dig
lowest.
In this. Yes, this is why
and I'm
surprised. Asking you the question.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's the lowest. And here's the thing: I think one of the key things when you're doing data science is that you shouldn't just always blindly follow the statistics. It definitely helps, but it needs to be rooted in domain expertise and subject matter experts. So like, maybe I set up my experiment wrong. Maybe I set up my analysis wrong. I need to explore this more. But also maybe it's not picking up something, because I use emojis all the time, and I think it really helps my communication. So maybe I'm not picking up something. Maybe this is my bias being so rooted to emojis that I'm surprised about this, right? And so again, I think it goes back to like, I want to explore this more. What's a more creative way I can get this out? But from what I'm seeing, it's like it's not really important for my posts. Maybe there's an interaction effect where it's character count with emojis that are driving it, and I just didn't pick up on that. Who knows?
Got it. Definitely a topic to dig into.
Definitely. This one was the one I was really most excited about. So essentially, I took all my hashtags, I used regex to take my text and pull out all the hashtags. And then I did a TF-IDF vectorizer to kind of show its relevancy for every single post. And then I fit random forest regressor, where the outcome variable was the engagement score. And I pulled in the feature importance. So this is really telling me, like, are there any unique kind of hashtags? Because again, I repeat my hashtags all the time. So that's why the TF-IDF component is really important for this. And so, something that really popped up was analytics. That's like doing substantially better than the rest.
Crazy.
And so for me, and I think one of the strategies I've heard is that you take essentially your follower count and you multiply it by 10, and that should be the type of hashtags you go for. So let's check out analytics. Maybe it's high, maybe it's low, but let's test out the hypothesis. So let's go hashtag analytics. Let's see how many followers it has. 6 million. So that hypothesis was wrong. I definitely don't have 600,000 followers. But interestingly enough, analytics was a really it's a hashtag that really popped off that people that I guess is really jiving with my posts. So I'm gonna include analytics now as a hashtag for all my posts.
Good.
And so the thing I want to know too is that, like, okay.
recently LinkedIn popped up, talks about hashtag this, hashtag that under your profile. Have you seen it? Have you noticed?
Oh yeah, because I added creator mode, and so
So
creator mode allows you to add those.
they brought up this. So yeah, it's kind of interesting also to see you.
Yeah.
But is it only for creator mode? Because I don't believe I have activated it, but I think I have it. I'm
don't
really not
know.
sure.
I need to go
It's a
look
good,
into it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the key thing though I want to know here is like, why is this important? Is that, I can add as many hashtags as possible until you reach your character count. And then you have to decide which hashtags you want to prioritize. And so for me, if I'm ever in a choice where I need to remove hashtags, I am definitely not going to remove analytics.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, makes sense.
finally, the specific topics. Same thing as the hashtags, but now I just did all the actual words. Maybe in the future I do bigrams or trigrams, but essentially is, what are the words that really popped off? And for me, I did the top 25, Give and Python. And this one really popped up to me. I was like, maybe I should write more about Python tips or like how I use Python. I mean, like I'm using Python here. People may be really jiving with that. They may like my Python tutorials.
Exactly.
So maybe I should write more about that. And again, this is a proxy, but and also you can see GitHub as well. So anytime I talk about Python or maybe something, I share all my tutorials on GitHub. And so people may be jiving with that. Also experience, so talking about my experience.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my analysis.
And you have
really hope y'all enjoyed it.
You have Alisa, who is also asking question now. So asking like, is your data, the hashtag data, because you were showing all the list of your hashtag, but it didn't have data in it. So do you think, do you include hashtag data in your post and seen any positive effect with this hashtag? Someone else I followed mentioned whenever he includes the hashtag on the post, it do better. So wasn't sure to do the same thing. Alisa, I think you should definitely put it. I do put it. I think data is some kind, when it's the topic of your conversation and you feel like you're talking about data, it's a very basic hashtag that makes it very clear that you're focusing on this topic. And I use hashtag at the end of the post, like in those things in Instagram and Twitter. I think hashtags are very good, and it will help us. It will help us a lot to get some analysis out of the content creation. I really believe that everything should have some hashtag attached, because it's, when you do some data analysis, it's going to help you. It's going to make sure that you're focusing on the right stuff.
I think the key thing is that I think if I did count vectorizer, where it gave me the actual counts, I think data probably would have been really high. But with TF-IDF, I'm specifically trying to find like, what are hashtags that I haven't used as much before that I should be using more? And so that's the key thing. And so like when I productize this, I'm planning on turning this into a weekly report now. And so I'm gonna get a weekly report of like, hey, use this new hashtag. Maybe you should capitalize on this.
Yes, definitely. And to your question, have you noticed whether your engagement increases if you share anything personal? On my side, I've actually not really tried to like put so much of me into the post, and this is probably my learning of today. I'm much talking about other people, what we do at Naas and everything, but I didn't really reveal myself, who I am, what I'm doing, where I come from. I have a background. I'm a complete outsider in this game. I've been coming from finance and I just moving to data. And so all this conversation I have with Mark, last week with Kuyen and with Dennis Rothman, which is like the mastermind of all this AI transforming stuff, helped me also understand the things better. So I guess that putting more of myself into this post is one of the key takeaway I get from Mark today. It's like, be you, don't worry, just post it, and whatever you're doing, just start. And whatever you're thinking of, just start doing it, and don't worry about likes, the comments, or whatever. Just be consistent in your posting, and then you will be able to look back and check it out and understand the correlation.
And the way you can check this is just manually. You can just manually label. So just go through your post and be like, did I talk about something personal? Yes or no? I only have 100 posts, so that should take like 5 minutes to do. And then you can run a t-test or a Whitney U test and see for yourself, is there a treatment effect present for that?
Exactly. So I guess this is a very nice primer into getting into LinkedIn data, because we are at the very, very beginning of it. And I think so much people wants to analyze their data. Sometimes people don't know how to do it. Sometimes people don't know it's possible. I even didn't know it was possible until we figured out how to make it with the Naas drivers. And you didn't know as well. So it's the very beginning, and we are just explorers here. So I think we need more sessions, and we need to like get back into this conversation with Mark a bit more in the future, like in 2-3 months from now. You're going to productize also your stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can get insights from this weekly report you want to build. I am also trying to do my own kind, which is very basic, but it's like just the reach engagement and conversations, because with the Naas drivers you can also get the messages. So I'm able to see week after week if I have more people I'm talking to through the messaging of LinkedIn. So I guess it's just the beginning. We are just exploring. Mark, you also stated it here very clear. It's just exploration. There is no correlation whatsoever. We are just trying to figure out where to put our eyes into. Before, we were just only able to scroll and get some insight by just scrolling and trying to count whatever things. Now we are moving a bit more further, and I guess a lot more needs to be discovered. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you for creating the space for me to do this. I've been having the time of my life doing this. It's so fun.
It's so fun. It's so fun to be able to see how also you are using it, because you went much more deeper than whatever I was able to do on my side. So I'm learning a lot from what you're trying to develop in your analysis. It gives me so much idea. I want to implement them probably right away, like right after.
I want to see you use the URN for a time series. I'm really curious what your data will show for that.
So exactly. And so to finally close the conversation, Mark, where should we reach you, and what's the next step? What are you going to do? Are you going to post any link somewhere? Tell us about where to reach you and what's the next step of this thing.
Yeah, currently the best place to reach me is on LinkedIn. Please follow or connect with me, and reach out to me through messages or commenting on my posts. I love responding to people and having conversation about data. And then I'm going to be posting this tutorial. So my next step is like actually putting more documentation. So that way you can do this analysis yourself, either with your own LinkedIn data, or if you don't have LinkedIn data, you can use my own data, which I'll make publicly available for people to use. And so this would be a really cool actual project for a portfolio. Then in addition, next step is that through this analysis, I probably can add a lot of different new awesome notebooks to Naas that I want to add to it. In addition, I can potentially make some adjustments to the drivers, potentially. So we'll see. Cool. It's open source, and I really want to add to it. And then and then finally, I'm gonna try to productize it. So see if I can like turn it into like a weekly scheduled email, where I get like a PDF of like all these results. And if I can figure that out, again, I would love to share that openly so people can do that themselves.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mark, for discussing all that with us. And I'm very happy, and I hope we can make another session in a few months from now to, how we went from step 0 to 1. And it's going to be great. Very interesting. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
Catch you later.
See you.